Shalom, everyone. As we start on the book of Psalms tomorrow on our handtotheplow.com website, that's handtotheplough.com, and the same name for our Facebook page. Just wanted to give everyone an insight into what some of these words and what this language looks like behind the English that we see today. I just want to take a moment to pray, and we thank you, Yah. We thank you, Father, for even the opportunity to draw close to you, Father, through your language, through what's been revealed, through these pictographs that are so simple a child could understand, Yah. I ask, Father, that you give each and every one of us a deeper understanding, a more intimate knowledge of who you are, Yah, and who you truly created us to be. In Yeshua's name I thank you, Father. Hallelujah. So, we'll go ahead and we'll start on Psalm 1. The way of the righteous and the wicked. We'll read through it before we kind of pull it apart. Blessed is the man who shall not walk in the counsel of the wrong, and shall not stand in the path of sinners, and shall not sit in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the Torah, the Torot, the instructions of Yah, and he meditates in his Torah day and night. For he shall be as a tree planted by the rivers of water, that yields fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither, and whatever he does prospers. The wrong are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind blows away. Therefore the wrong shall not rise in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yah knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wrong comes to naught. So we'll start and we'll just kind of look at some of these words that are underneath verse 1. First, we have blessed. What does it mean to be blessed in this respect? The one that's blessed because he's not walking in the counsel of the wrong, not standing in the path of sinners, and not sitting in the seat of mockers. We're just going to kind of look in our Ancient Hebrew lexicon. There'll be a few Strong's definitions in here. We really just want to get back to the language. So we find this at 1480 CN. The N from right to left is an L, a shin, and a resh, as you can see down there at the bottom of the screen. It means happy. One who is happy is one whose life is lived straightly. At the C family root, we see the same three letters from right to left, the L, the shin, and the resh. The concrete is straight. A cord pulled tight is straight. At the two-letter root, at the 1480, we see the shin and the resh. The action is to tie, the concrete is a cord. The shin is a picture of a teeth representing pressure, and the resh is a picture of the head representing the top or beginning. Combined, these mean press the beginning. Ropes and cords were usually made of bark strips, such as from the cedar or from the sinew, tendon of an animal. The rope is made by twisting two fibers together. A single fiber is attached to a fixed point, the top, and the two ends of the fiber are brought together. One fiber is twisted in a clockwise direction and wrapped over the other fiber in a counterclockwise direction. The second fiber is then twisted in a clockwise direction, then wrapped around the first fiber in a counterclockwise direction. This process is repeated through the length of the rope. The twisting of the fibers in opposite directions causes the fibers to lock or press, I would say tightly, onto each other, making a stronger rope. The rope is used to tightly secure or support something, such as a load or a cart, a load to a cart, or the poles of a tent. And so we see here this blessed is someone who is living their life straightly. They are living their life for L by pressing that came from the very beginning, that which he originally breathed. This is the root line for the remnant. So the remnant is going to be taking that which L gave from the very beginning. They're pressing into that which was from the very beginning. So to be blessed in this aspect is all about living straightly, all about the kingdom, not about the things here on earth, because the things of this earth, they are going to pass away. So moving on. We see that this man who is living righteously, or woman, and straightly, is not walking in the counsel of the wrong. So taking a look at the word not, we see it at 1254 JN. The N, it's in the middle section there. I'm hoping you can see my mouse under it right there. I don't know for sure. It's a lam, a wa, and an L. It means if, to have what you are without. It can also mean not. At the J root, the abstract is foolish. At the two-letter parent root, the lam and the L, we have the abstract without. To be without anything, such as nothing. Related to lam, hay. Apparently an opposite of el lam, which is L. So if you are not having L, walking straight, pressing that which is from the beginning, you are without L. So blessed is the man who is not walking in the counsel of the wrong, who has L, who is walking straightly, not the one who's walking foolishly. So we're walking not. The blessed man that's straightly living his life is walking not. Down here we see walk at 1264, FV. The V is the hay, the lam, and the kaf. Means to walk a journey or lifestyle, customs. This walk is about the lifestyle you have, the customs you keep. At the F, family root, the action is travel, the concrete is journey. We have the same three letters, the hay, the lam, and the kaf. At the two-letter parent root, we have the lam and the kaf. The action is walk, the concrete is message. The pictograph lam is a picture of a shepherd's staff. The kaf is a picture of the palm of the hand. Combined, these mean staff in the palm. A nomad traveled on foot with the staff in his hand to provide support in walking, as well as a weapon to defend against predators or thieves. So we see here that this walk comes from the revelation of the instructions that we bend our will to. The little man with his arms raised, the hay. It's a little man with his arms raised. It means revelation, breath, sigh. The lam, which is the shepherd's staff, represent the shepherd, the instructions to goad, to lead, to teach. And the kaf, which is the palm of the hand, can mean to bend, to allow, to tame. So we see that we are not walking in the counsel of the wrong. We are not receiving the revelation of the adversary. We are not following those instructions, the lam. We are not bending our will to the counsel of the wrong. So who is this counsel of the wrong? What does that look like in Hebraic understanding? We see the word counsel is H6098. Down here it's at the 1363A N1. It's an ayin, which is the I, which means know, experience, understanding, watch. We have the Zod, which is the man on his side. which can mean a trail, a journey, a hunt. And we have the He, again, which is a little man with his arms raised, which can mean revelation, breath, sigh, to behold a sight. So we see the definition is number 1 is a tree, and number 2 is counsel. The counsel is as a firm support of the community. At the 2-letter family root, we have the ayin zod. The concrete is a tree. The upright and firmness of the tree. The elders of the tribe were the upright and firm ones, making decisions and giving advice. At the 2-letter parent root, we see the ayin and the zod. The action is firm, the concrete is tree, the upright and the firmness of the tree. And so we see here, this counsel that they're giving is not because they are the upright support of Yah's quote-unquote community. These ones might have an intimate knowledge of something or experience of something, but it's the experience of the adversary. They are on a trail that is not the trail back to the kingdom. And that because the revelation that they're receiving is from another source. It is not of El. So they may seem upright and firm. And I think we see many times throughout the Tanakh where kings are taking advice from those who would not be the firm support, the elders of the community, the elders of the tribe, as Yah would have them to be, but giving decisions and advice because they are of the wrong side of things. So when we look at this word wrong, we see it's H753, and it's the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon 2799N, and we see here it's the resh, the shin, and the ayin. They're wicked, one who has departed from the correct path or way. So the counsel that they're giving has nothing to do with being on the correct path. It has nothing to do with being on the way back to where we first started, which was the beginning, which we're supposed to be pressing to. So these wicked or wrong ones are following another head. The resh. They're following another head. And they are actually on the road to destruction is what they're onto. But they're following another head, and they're being pressed to, again, the same thing we saw above. Knowledge, experience, and understanding of those things that are outside of the correct path that Yah would have us on to get back to that which was from the beginning, which is where the remnant who is pressing the beginning on their way back to El should be going. Then we have, they are not the blessed man who is living his life straight, who is living his life rightly, who is pressing that which is from the beginning. He's not, again, which is the 3808, opposite of El. He's not going to stand in the path of sinners. So here we see this, maybe we don't have stand on here. Let me go back a slide. Oh, we do. He's not going to stand. It's 2550V, and it's the ayin, the mem, and the dal. Stand, to stand, raise, or set in place. We see it comes from, action is to stand, the concrete is pillar. It comes from the ayin, mem, as standing with another. This is where we get which is where we get see a mass, see the people, see the tribe of Israel. Okay? We are not standing as pillars with those that are on the path that are missing the mark. We are not standing with those who, again, are being led by some other knowledge. This C, a mass, the 2-letter root that it comes from, this people are the wrong people. They have a different understanding. This mem, which is water, which can mean cleanse, which can mean blood, which also can mean every who, what, when, where, why, and how, because the Hebrews saw the sea as a questioning word, more like an unknown. So they are receiving. We are not to stand with those that are of another understanding than what Yah has revealed since the very beginning. Because it's a different who, what, when, where, why, and how. We see the scriptures, having done everything, therefore, to stand. Stand. Don't stand here. Do not stand in this path. So, stand in the path of sinners. Apparently, we're going to do sinners first. Okay. So, sinners is AHLB 1170EN. The N down here at the bottom in purple is a het, which is a wall. It can mean divide. It can mean inside, outside. The tet is a basket. Surround. The baskets were made of mud or clay. And we have again the L, which is the ox head, the leader, the power, the strength, the authority. So we are not to stand in the path of those that are missing the target. Also, a sinner as one who misses the mark. When shooting an arrow or other object to a target, the distance that one misses is measured with a cord. The wrong actions of one are also measured against the correct action. And so we see at the two-letter root, the het, tet. Action is to measure, the concrete is cord, the abstract is miss. Cords are used for binding as well as measuring. A cord is also used as a measuring device by placing knots incrementally. The cord is stretched between the 2 points to measure, and the knots are counted. So we are not to stand in the path of those who are on the wrong side of the wall, who are stuck in the mud and the mire and the clay. They will not be in the basket of the first fruits. That are getting their power and their strength, they're taking their authority from someone other than the instructions that have been laid out since the very beginning. They, again, are not pressing that which is from the beginning. They are missing the mark. The goal is to be like Yah, who came to rescue us, and to be intimate with him, but that is a mark that is being missed. And we see here that we are not to stand in the path of them, which is the direct, a road that is walked, as well as the path of life. We know that is the way that's back to the garden, the way that is from the very beginning. The first time we see this word used in scriptures, it's the sword pouring out its contents, blocking the way back to the garden. And the blessed man, the one who lives his life righteously and straightly, is not sitting in the seat of scoffers. You see down here the word sitting and the word seat. It's in the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon at 1462. It's in the L family. We see the LV is the 3427 in purple, and the LA is the 4186. So to sit, to have a seat, to dwell, to set oneself down in the dwelling place for the night or for a long period of time, to settle or remain. Once you've sat in a seat, you're no longer walking, you're no longer standing, you've actually, quote unquote, parked yourself in that position. And we see the seat, it just begins with the mem, the place of sitting. So we see it comes from the 1462 two-letter root, shin bait, shub. Some of that us may recognize that as repentance or shub. The action is turn, the concrete is seat. The pictograph shin is a picture of the two front teeth representing a pressing, and the bait is a picture of a tent. Combine these mean press to the tent. A place of dwelling is a place returned to, a turning back or away from someone or something. A captive is one turned away from a place of dwelling. So if we're going to go sit in the seat of scoffers, we have to have turned away from the things we know to be true and right, and not be living our lives straightly, our lives righteously. We are not to be sitting in the seat with these scoffers. We are not to be pressed to that tent. In our yod works, in our worships, we are supposed to be following the right hand power of Elohim, to be pressed to the tent. And that right hand power, that strength and authority, is the word that was made up of each and every pictograph that was since the very beginning. And who are these scoffers? I thought this was very interesting, especially those that would actually be studying the language. We see it's in the Strongs at 3887, lutz, a primitive root, properly to make mouths at, that is, to scoff. Hence, from an effort to pronounce a foreign language, to interpret, or generally intercede. We see that the 1271 JV in the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon, it's a lam, a wah, and a zod. One is to scorn, two is to interpret. At the 1271 two-letter root, we have the action is scorn, the abstract is interpret. The pictograph lam represents authority, and the tongue is authority. The zod is a picture of a man on his side representing trouble. Combine these mean tongue of trouble, the sound of one speaking a foreign language, or the mocking of another's speech. What a picture of not mocking the word and the language, or misinterpreting for one's own gain the word and the language that Yah originally breathed. Once we sit in that seat and we begin to mock what he originally breathed, if we were there, we are certainly not anymore pressing that which was from the beginning. Yah's word, in context, must be interpreted from a tongue, from a language that is that which he originally breathed. Anything else is simply foreign. But his delight, this man who is blessed, who is living life straightly, who is living life right, who is not walking in the counsel of the wrong, not standing in the path of sinners, and not sitting in the seat of scoffers. His delight is in the Torah of Yah, and he meditates on his Torah, day and night. We see this delight is 2656 in the Strongs. Chayfetz from 2654, pleasure, hence abstractly desire, concretely a valuable thing, hence by extension a matter, as something in mind. We see in the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon, it's at 2191N. It's a het, a pay, and a zod. Delight. At the V, the verb, we see it's the same three letters, delight, to desire something out of pleasure or necessity. The action of the root is to delight, and Benner has it as coming from the het, pay. So we see here that this delight, we desire the blessed one, the one who's walking righteously, who's walking straightly, desires Yah's word out of pleasure. It says or necessity, but it is a necessity, and it ought to be a pleasure. Because if it's not both of those, not that it always feels good, because if it's not both of those, how can we love it? It just doesn't make any sense. I think it's interesting we see it coming from the het pay, and that I do believe meant cover or innocent. It's like hiding a treasure. What have we hidden in our hearts? What is our treasure? Are our treasures here? Or do we delight in the Torah and the word of Yah and that which he originally breathed that put it all together? Everything from the El to the Ta. Looking at the meditating on his Torah day and night, we see that's the Strong's 1987. No, it's the 1897. Down here in the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon, it's at 1095 HV. I guess that'll be something for everyone to do, is go look up that Hebrew 1897 in the Strong's. We see down here in the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon, it's at 1095 HV. It's a hey, a lam, and a hey. It's to ponder, to be in continual contemplation over a matter. At the two-letter root, we have the hey and the gam, the foot, to walk, to lift, could mean pride. The abstract is ponder, a murmuring or soft speech while in a continual contemplation over something. That which Yah has revealed, we should continually be walking in, and it should bring us to this awesome sight to behold him. But so more can be revealed. As what's revealed is revealed to us, we begin to walk in it, continually contemplating those things which have been revealed, so that, hey, more can be revealed. What a wondrous sight. For he shall be as a tree, this blessed man, who's walking rightly and straightly. He shall be as a tree, because he's not walking in the counsel of the wrong. So he's going to be a tree, planted by the rivers of water, that yields fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither, it does not fail, and whatever he does prospers. So we see the tree at 1363 AN1, same thing we saw for walking in the counsel of the righteous. Ayin Zadi Hay. Boy, my mouse is beside itself. One is tree, two is counsel, as a firm support of the community. Those walking in the counsel and the revelation of El, so that more can be revealed, those are the ones that are supposed to be the firm support of the community. It comes from the Ayin Zad, the upright and firmness of the tree. We are supposed to be upright and firm. We are supposed to be the strong trees, the firm support, those that are ayin, intimate, on the trail, receiving the revelation. If you're following someone, if anyone's following someone that is not intimate with Yah on this level of what he originally breathed, pressing that which was from the very beginning, someone that's on a trail other than the one that's on its way back to what was from the beginning, receiving revelation of anything outside the Torah and the Torah. Not that we don't see things in history, not that we don't see things around us, but there's only one way. There can be no other way. They should not be your counsel. These trees, the elders, the firm support of the community, they are planted by rivers of water. I would venture to guess that would be living water. We see it in the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon at 1281 AN. The N is Ma'ah. It's a mem and a hey. Number one is what? Something that is unknown. Can also be why, when, or how. Again, because the Hebrews saw the sea as an unknown. They didn't know what was on the other side, why, how they were going to cross it, where, who. It was really a questioning word for them. And number two, we see it as water from the sea. The two-letter root, we see the mem and the hay. The concrete is sea. The mem is the water. The sea, the Mediterranean, is a place of the unknown, what is beyond or what is below. It is feared by the ancient Hebrews because of its size, storms, and fierceness. 100 as an unknowable amount. We have some other roots that this parent root is related to. So this plea, this tree that's planted by these rivers of water, is taking in its roots, taking into itself the water, the living water, to receive the revelation. So they are planted by the water, so they can be intimate on the trail, receiving the revelation, but yet giving that revelation out as a firm support and elder of the community. If the tree is not receiving water from the living water and not receiving the correct answers, the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how, that kind of revelation, they are not intimate on the trail, able to give that revelation out to others as the firm elders of the community. And whatever this one, we're going to leave fruit in its season, and leaf does not wither for another one. And whatever he does prospers. This is not a prospering as the world thinks of prosperity. This is not for sure it's not a prosperity gospel. This is about what we see in the Ancient Hebrew lexicon at 2662v. To advance, to move forward in distance, position, or prosperity. We run the race so as to win the prize. We should be moving forward in this race. We should have our hand to the plow without looking back, so we are fit for the kingdom. The prosperity we have are the treasures that are stored up in the Shemayim. Those trees that are planted by the rivers of water, yielding fruit in its season, whose leaf does not wither, these are the area that he prospers in. There's so much here that we see in this world that people want to prosper in. Of course, money, power, look at me, who am I? Been there, done it. None of it makes a hill of beans. None of it makes any difference. That kind of stuff is not stored up in the Shemayim. It is hay, stubble, and wood. Going to burn up. So these trees planted by the rivers of water yield fruit in their season, their leaf does not wither, and whatever they do prospers. The wrong, the Rasha, the ones that are not on the correct path, the ones we looked at earlier, this is not so with them. They are like the chaff which the wind blows away. The chaff is 1294 JN. We see it down here. It's a Mamawa Nazad. It's chaff. The concrete is chaff. When a seed of grain is squeezed, the chaff is removed. The action is to squeeze. The abstract is strong. The mem is a picture of water representing might, and the zad representing the side. Combined, these mean mighty sides. When one strengthens the sides, internal pressure is forced on the sides of the upper body. When these are squeezed, what comes forth? They're just like the chaff which the wind, which it blows away. Right here, it's toss back and forth. The back and forth falling of a leaf as it falls from a tree comes from the noon dal, which means being tossed to and fro, which is actually where we get nod. And they're going like this, and they're going like that, and being tossed to and fro by every wind and wave of doctrine, whether they receive it from someone else or they get, wind of it in their own mind. It's just a back and forth and a back. They're just thrown back and forth. So they're like this chaff which the wind blows away. Therefore, interesting word, the wrong shall not rise in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. So we see our word therefore is made up of two separate Hebrew words. The first one is 1357 AN. The N is the ayin and the lamed, the lam. We see it can be above, it can mean upon right here. Really means experience the staff. The ayin is a picture of the eye representing knowledge and experience. The lam is a picture of a shepherd's staff or yoke. Combined, these mean experience the staff. Experience a different yoke even. The yoke, a staff, is lifted over the shoulder, is attached to the oxen for performing work. Just like a yoke, that's why the concrete is yoke. So because they are like the chaff, which the wind blows away, they are actually experiencing not a different yoke. It is not the yoke of Yah, because Yah's yoke is easy and his burden is light. So because they are the counsel of the wrong, the path of sinners, the seed of mockers, they are experiencing, they have another yoke on them. The instructions that they're experiencing, the staff, the instructions, they're not Yah's. Sometimes, many times, things are interpreted wrongly. I think we looked at the word was scorn, scoffers. Not that it can't be real, intense scoffing, but it doesn't have to be. To scoff at Yah's word, to be a tongue of trouble, can be done in a manner that you might not even know that it is. Because generally the enemy's not coming at you like that. Generally. He's coming as a messenger of light. So we see, therefore, they're experiencing this other yoke. The other part of therefore is the cough, down here at the end, the cough and the noon. A firmness in a situation, a standing tall and firm, an upright person of a column, the base, which provides support as well as the person's home or family as a base. We see it's a two-letter root. It's kun. The action is stand, the concrete is root, the abstract is shore. The cough is a picture of the open palm. The noon is a picture of a seed. Combine these mean opening of a seed. When the seed opens, the roots begin to form the base of the plant by going down into the soil. The plant rises out of the ground, forming a stalk of the plant. A tall tree can only stand tall and firm because of the strong system which supports it. Because they are like the chaff which the wind blows away, they are experience a different yoke. They are not standing strong with the root system that is, they are not receiving the living water. You can be for sure and for certain on that when they are squeezed, what comes out is not the seed of Yah. This is actually the root line down here as part of therefore, kun. Many of you may recognize it, where we get Cohen, where we get the priestly line. These are not of that, because they are like the chaff, which the wind blows away. These wrong ones right here. And they shall not, here we have our not again, because they're the opposite of El. They shall not rise. It's kum. There will be no resurrection. Not resurrection to life. They might go to death, but there will be no resurrection to life when it comes time for the judgment, whether it be when he comes back for his second coming and those that are going into over into the land with him, the kings, priests, prophets that would be under the King of Righteousness. But these ones, the wrong ones that are not on the correct path, shall not rise in the judgment, and at least not to life. And even in the second resurrection, they will not rise. There will be no rising to life. The ones in the first resurrection, of course, the second death has no power over them. Here we have the kuf, which is the sun on the horizon. It can mean a cycle. It can mean to gather, like the gathering of the light on the horizon. We have the wa, which is the tent peg, which can mean to add, secure, hook, join. We have the mem again, which is the water. So therefore, the wrong shall not, because they are the opposite of what El is, what El has breathed, how he wants us to walk. They are not going to raise or rise up. Also in the sense of continuing or establishing something. They will not be established, kuf, in that day, at that time. There will be no raising in that day, at that time, because they have not secured themselves or joined themselves to what is needed for them to be cleansed, which is what the one who was blessed, living righteously and straightly, is delighting in and meditating on, which is the Torot, the Torah of Yah. They mock at it. They scoff at it. Anything but Yah. Sometimes it's more obvious than others. Down here we see in the day of judgment, which is Mishpat, Mem Shin Pei Tet, judgment. They're not going to rise. Rulings over cases as well as the actions of deciding a case going to be done by the judge. We all know who the judge is. He's going to judge by what's written in the book. Either we're delighting on that and we're meditating on that continually day and night as it was written from the very beginning. That is what we're pressing ourselves to, or we're not. The case is going to be decided. Nothing will be hidden. Therefore, the wrong shall not rise in judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. So we see this congregation here. 1349 AN1. It's a company with a common testimony, a common witness. This is the root line where we get the Moedim, where we get the witness that's outside the ark, where we get the witness that's inside the ark. This is a group with a common testimony that are in agreement, because two cannot walk together unless they are agreed. And we see the same agreed in the same root line with the Moedim, with the calendar, with all these things that the quote-unquote body of Messiah is divided on. The body of Messiah is not divided. At the A family root, it's the ayin dal, it's witness. An event or person's testimony recounting another event or person. Over and over and over and over and over again. Every year we're on this cycle until we hit that time, that day and age, where all those who have secured themselves in the cleansing of the Torah, the Torot, are going to go into the first resurrection, or we're going to come to the second resurrection, and some are going to rise to life, and some are going to rise to death. At the two-letter root, 1349, it's the ayin dal. Again, the I is the eye, to see, to know, to knowledge, to experience, to understand. The dal is the door, to go in, to go out, to enter. It's an entrance. The action is repeat, the abstract is witness. The pictograph ayin is a picture of the eye, the dal is a picture of the door. Combine these mean, see the door. As a coming to a tent of meeting and entering in. A place, time, or event that is repeated over and over and over again. Okay, it's not just about seeing the door. We need to see the door, absolutely. But we need to be striving to enter into it as a group with a common testimony who have received, here's this little hey at the end. That could be argued. Here's a little hey at the end. See the door? See the door? Strive to get into it, because there's going to be a time when he is going to be revealed, and every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. We need to be receiving that revelation now and striving to enter that door. Nor sinners, which are the ones who are missing the mark, we talked about that earlier, they're not going to rise in the congregation, that we just looked at, of the righteous, the straight, the tzaddik. The ones who are upright or righteous is the ones who are walking a straight path, as opposed to the rasha, the wrong, the ones who have left the correct path. For Yah knows, he is intimate with, he knows, Yada, the way of the righteous. He knows if we're walking it or not. He knows if we've shubed and want to turn and have turned back to press ourselves to the tent. He knows if we're on the correct path. He knows if we're having a tongue of trouble, being scornful or mocking or interpreting incorrectly or saying there's not even an interpretation like that. But the way of the wrong, the way of the rasha, those who have left the correct path, comes to naught. Naught is H6. It's 1027 CV in the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon. It's the El, the Beit, and the Dal. It's to perish, to be separated from the whole, life, or functionality. That ought to be scary to each and every one of us. The action is perish, the concrete is lost, the abstract is destruction. A wanderer is one alone or lost. A place separated from people is a place of ruin, not in the congregation of the righteous. Comes to naught. Lost, destruction, perish. Doesn't get much clearer than that. We see at the two-letter root, it's a bait and a dal. That's where we get our English word bad, as being alone. Being alone is bad, so it says down here. The action is separate, the concrete is alone, the abstract is destruction. The bait is a representation of the tent, means tent, family, inside. The dal is a picture of the tent door. These two pictographs represent the door of the tent. The father of the tent often sat alone at the door of the tent. Here he could receive shade from the sun, watch over his household, and watch the road for approaching strangers. Not coming in the door of the tent. Father's not going to allow us in the door of the tent if we're not on the correct path. To be separated from the whole life or functionality, the wholeness that comes from being in El. Life eternal, which comes from being in El. Functionality, being Tob. We will be dysfunctional, or Ra'ah. So they will perish. They come to naught. They will be separated from a life with El, from a life in the house with the family. Whether it be here and now, it certainly will be then and there. We may not see it here and now in some instances, but everything will be revealed. They will perish. They will not, with my mouse, come through the door of that tent. Father will not allow them in. Nothing that is unclean is going to come in. So let's read it one more time. Blessed. Blessed is the man. He is righteous. He is living straightly. Who is not the opposite of El, walking in a lifestyle, a customs, in the counsel, taking advice of the wrong, those that are not on the correct path. And he is not standing. He's supposed to be a pillar in the temple of Yah, not standing on the path of sinners, the path that does not lead back to the way which was in the very beginning of those who are missing the mark. And he shall not sit, remain, stay in the seat of scoffers, those that have a tongue of trouble, interpret incorrectly, do not know the word. They do it to their own destruction and to the destruction of others. But this one who is blessed, whose life is lived righteously and straightly, who is at this point still supposed to be part of the small flock, little remnant of the first resurrection, but his delight, his desire, out of pleasure and out of necessity, is the Torot of Yah. And he meditates and he ponders on it continually, night and day. For he is as a tree, a strong elder in the community that's supposed to be giving advice, planted by the rivers of the living water that he takes in and is able to then give out to others, that yields fruit in its season and whose leaf does not wither, does not fail. And whatever he does prospers. It prospers in the kingdom, for that's where his treasures are stored. The ones who have left the correct path, they are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind blows away. Therefore, being under the experience of a different yoke, having their will bent to a seed that is not of Yah, to a word that is not Yah's. Those that have left the correct path, who are not on the correct path, shall not rise in that day and age, because they have not been secured to what cleanses them. They shall not rise in judgment, not to life. Nor those who have missed the mark in the congregation, the company with a common witness, those who have seen the door, those who strive to enter in through it to the revelation that will be revealed, because every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. But they will be of a common witness, a common testimony, in agreement on the Moedim and what's inside and what's outside the ark is taken back to what's been since the beginning, which we should be pressing ourselves to. Nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous, those who are living straightly. For Yah knows the way of the righteous. But the way of those who are not on the correct path comes to naught, comes to destruction. They will perish. So I hope this, I really hope this puts a desire in some of you to take these words, follow us in the Psalms over the next however many days it takes us to go through the book. Look up a word a day. The word Hand to the Plow, Plough on Facebook. handtotheplow.com is our website. If you follow us on Facebook, you dig into these words. One a day, one every other day. I know a lot of us are stuck out in the world having to work because of our own consequences. But I hope this gives you a desire to want to come back to the things that he originally breathed, because they are beautiful. Shalom to each of you.